Um, so welcome. Thank you so much for coming. This is our first spring workshop of the year, and hopefully in the fall we'll be able to do some workshops in person, but we'll see how that goes. So I kind of wanted to just let you all know the basic rundown of what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to be talking about planning your garden bed with square foot gardening. We're also going to be talking a little bit about companion planting and how that can help help you in your garden. It's really been like fascinating to read more about how plants can help each other. And I've been really into learning about this. So hopefully it's exciting to you too. After that, we're also going to go through the manual a little bit. So each of you should have a garden manual. If you don't yet, then please let me know. If you're new to our program, you'll probably get this in, let's see, I think April. But I just wanted to go over some of the really important, like key pages in here because it's really going to help you out all year. So to start, I kind of wanted to take us through just a short, like 2 to 3 minute mindfulness exercise. It is the middle of winter. There's a lot going on in the world. I feel like it might be nice to just get into this space and really just think about, envisioning our garden, thinking about what we want to grow, and kind of like getting that visual image down and cemented, because I know that is really exciting for me and keeps me going through the winter months. So I'm going to turn off my screen for a second and do this with you all. And if you just want to get in a comfortable position, this takes maybe like 2.5 minutes, and then we'll get started. So, okay. So I want you to just take a few deep breaths and then try to imagine a fresh, clean layer of compost and soil on your beds. If you don't have a garden yet, just imagine any space with a fresh layer of compost and soil, and that can be in containers too. And then I want you to try and imagine placing a tiny seed in that soil, covering up with your hands. Try to imagine some soft drizzling rains coming down, followed by a bright, warm sun warming that dark, rich soil. And now from the dark, rich soil, your seed starts to turn into a tiny green shoot. And it's growing deep and strong roots down into the ground, also rising up towards the sun. Slowly and steadily, it keeps growing in both directions. Then it starts growing leaves, becomes wider, healthier, more lush in each moment. Then it starts to produce a vegetable. Maybe it's growing a flower, it's going to become a fruit, or maybe it's going to just keep growing leaves, or maybe it's growing a root in the ground that you're going to eat. Now I want you to harvest your vegetable and take a second to really notice it. Does it have a scent? What's its texture, its color? How heavy is it? I want you to save this image. Slowly, when you're ready, just come back to the room. And I'm curious if anybody had any specific vegetables that they harvested in this little exercise. You can just type it into the chat if you'd like. And if not, I was thinking of a zucchini, and because that's actually one of my favorite things to grow. I feel like it just keeps coming. It's like every day there's a zucchini ready for you in the summer. So did anybody have any? Carrots, nice. Brandon grew some carrots for everyone that can't see the chat. Cool, cool. Well, thanks for diving into that little journey with me. So I think so. I wanted to talk to you all about you know, we're going to be giving you seed packets. We're going to be giving you plant starts. Just like really briefly, I know, you know, planting from seed is really new for a lot of folks. So, you know, just making sure you're checking on the back of the seed packet, you know, days to emerge. That's just how many days does it take for, you know, your little start to emerge, depending on how warm or cool the soil is. Seed depth, how deep do you want to plant your seeds? And one rule of thumb is that you have the size of your seed, and then you're going to double that size for how low you want to plant it into how deep you want to plant it into the ground. So, you know, I just planted a calendula seed yesterday, and those are like, you know, pretty small, a couple of inches, but I'm going to do that and double it so it's 4 inches down in the soil. That makes sense. Row spacing, just making sure you're not packing all the plants in one small area, and then thinning when it's 2 inches tall. That's when you can start thinning, and then thin to 1 every 4 inches. So just make sure they're spaced one to every 4 inches. So these are some of our plant starts. This is from last year from our plant distribution day. So you all are going to be getting some amazing plant starts, and I just kind of wanted to show you this. I think it's really exciting, and I'm just super excited. It's one of the best times during the year, I think, because everyone gets really pumped and takes home a bunch of starts to plant. So this is what I wanted to start with. It's in your manual, page 3, and I think this is a really good place to start. It's your planting list. So this is listing everything that you want to grow. And I started one, and so pretty straightforward. It's just going to help you kind of sort out what you want to plant and when to do it. So snap peas, for instance, you can start planting those now. And you can direct seed them, so just place the seed right in the soil. When when to plant, February through April. How often to plant, you're just going to do it once. And then expected harvest date is about 8 to 10 weeks. And then we'll get into the square foot gardening method, but essentially, how many of those plants do you want to plant within a square foot? And you can actually do up to 9. So that's good to know. Same thing for lettuce. You can either get a plant start or direct seed, planting April through September. So succession planting is when you have a plant growing, and maybe it's on the tail end of when you've kind of harvested it. It's kind of, you know, it's done its work. It's on its way out. You're going to start planting before that plant is done. So you're kind of and it's also continually planting. So cilantro is a really good example. You can plant cilantro almost all year round here, maybe not in like the depths of winter, but so you're continually planting it. What other thing? And then I just added peppers. That's also, so just a few things here just to kind of keep things in order for you. I think it really, really helps. This is the planting calendar. So you can see, you know, every month is listed, and you can kind of have like a visual of what you want to be planting. So here I see March, snap peas, radish, you know, April, lettuce, May, peppers. So this is all straightforward, but I think can kind of get missed if you're not if you're not using the manual, and I think it's really, really helpful. So planning your garden, this is kind of where we're going to get into the square foot gardening method. And pretty much the reason why we want to do this is it's more efficient. It's really good for small spaces. So you're going to get more produce um, for the size space that you have. And I've seen people, let's see, I think I have, let's go to this one. I've seen folks use string, wood, bamboo, it looks like someone is using at the top right-hand corner. And so what you're doing is just measuring out a square foot in your garden bed. So this is, if you do have a 4x8 garden bed, I think Regina and Brandon, I think both of you have 4x8 garden beds. And so you're just measuring it out by square foot. And you can do this with, you really don't have to use a ton of materials, just basically making sure that you're marking the foot. And then we do that because as you can see here, this is like an aerial view of the 4x8 garden bed split up into squares. You can see that a tomato is going to take 2 square feet to grow. So as you're planting your starts, you can kind of see how much room the plant is going to take up. So if you have your peas, you know, you have those triangular like bamboo, you know, triangles in your garden, you can have it grow up and trellis. So it looks like they're using, you know, 4 square feet. And I think this is helpful because like when I started first gardening, I was just packing in plants everywhere. Like I didn't know where to plant things. And I was definitely crowding out a lot of plants. So like they weren't able to get to their full width or full height. You can see zucchini down on the right hand side is taking up 4 squares as well. So once you mark out your squares and you have all of your plants that you want to plant, then you're going to go ahead and start to make your own plan. And on the back of your on the back sheet of your garden manual, you have a laminated paper. So you can use like a dry erase marker or whatever you have, like, and so to erase it every year, and you can start mapping out what you want to grow per season. This was a cool guide, I thought. On the left-hand side, it's in Spanish, and you can see, you know, cucumber right in the middle there. You're only gonna plant 1 cucumber plant in 1 square. So it's a cool visual representation, I think. You can see carrots. Brandon, if you're getting into those carrots, you're going to be able to plant, what is that, 4 by 12 carrots in 1 square foot. So that's pretty cool. I really liked this visual. And then another visual on the right hand side, just kind of showing you with numbers, you know, you can plant 9 onions in a square foot, or 1 pumpkin plant in a square foot. So yeah, I think I'll be able to share these slides as well. And so you can have that as a reference. But I think this is just a really helpful way to kind of conceptualize like how many plants you can fit in your garden, what types of plants you want to fit, and yeah, and where to start. This I thought was like kind of a cool image. They're using clip art to show roughly like, you know, how many vegetables you can fit in your garden using this square foot method. But so yeah, this is that back page. So I forgot to mention, but if anyone has questions as these things come up, just please put them into the chat or feel free to unmute yourself. But I use this every year. I've also used just grid paper. So if you don't have your manual yet, just some gridded paper, or making your own little diagram. So so with that, we've already gone through and kind of maybe planned what we want to plant, what we want to grow for this spring season. And then we put it on our planting calendar, so we know what months we're supposed to be planting. And now, and we thought about the spacing, so and how many plants can fit within each square foot. So now we kind of want to think about companion planting. So what plants help each other grow, and that's essentially what companion planting is. So this is a cool little diagram kind of showing the things that, so take for instance carrots, the things that you want to plant with carrots that they're gonna be mutually beneficial. So you want to plant them next to beans, next to peas, next to lettuce, onions, and tomatoes. But you don't want to plant them next to dill or parsnip and parsley. So as you're making your plan and deciding on what you want to grow, I think it's just really helpful and really cool to know that plants, some plants grow really well together, and some take different nutrients from each other, or nutrients from the soil, and so they're not going to be helping each other grow. So as you're in your planning mode, just be aware of this. Some reasons that we do companion planting is to improve the soil structure. It adds more flavor to your vegetables. It also can make your garden less vulnerable to pests and diseases. Let's see, am I missing anything? And I've noticed too that it does reduce the amount of time you spend pulling weeds. So definitely a really important factor, I would say. Let's see. There also is, again, like a really, really helpful page in your manual. And I look at this every year. It's just really helpful to know as I'm doing my garden planning, and also really interesting, right? It's like, why is it incompatible with tomatoes? So you can go down some rabbit holes and learn more about plant structure and thinking about, what certain plants, types of nutrients certain plants are using, what are they putting into the soil. So yeah, and I mean, not, I think the most important thing is just to like go out and try it. Don't feel like all of this information needs to be in place before you try planting something from seed or with a transplant. Like, I think it's more important that you just get out into the garden and experiment. That would be my advice. I just love these companion planting charts. I feel like visually it's like really helpful to see what goes with what. So these will also be in the slides, and I can send these to you. Yeah, you can see on the left, they have like the main thing you're growing. Again, like corn. What does corn love? Loves cucumbers, peas, pumpkins, squash, so on. This is just another diagram, say like in your backyard, maybe you're not planting in a 4x8 garden bed. This is just another kind of visualization of, here's the stepping stones and you have your pathway. And maybe you're just kind of putting plants together around in your yard. It doesn't need to necessarily be in a garden bed. And it's also nice to, oh, I wanted to point this out too, just, there's sunflowers in here that are really, really, really amazing for the soil. Borage, that's like a medicinal plant too that you can use. Those flowers are incredibly medicinal. Um, oh, apricots. I don't know if we grow apricots here, but yeah, so I think I like this diagram because it's kind of a little more creatively, adding different types of things together. And, you have sage and parsnips and green peas go together. So get creative with it. So, yeah, I think that's basically all that I have for you today.